How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about Mullen Automotive. It was pretty much flat on the day. They did have some recent news that came out. We'll talk about it in this video. And of course, I want to make sure you guys are prepared going into tomorrow. Won't waste any more time. Let's jump into the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you're a shareholder, you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing we're going to go over is the technical analysis. We're going to be taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know support, we want to know resistance, we want to know what it looks like in the bearish case scenario and as well as in the bullish case scenario. And then we're going to be going on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information. The reason why this is important, because it does have an impact on the way the stock performs. And then we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. We want to know the buying and the selling behavior on the retail side and as well as on the institutional side. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going into the final thoughts and as well as some more details. So let's get to it. So we're going to do a technical analysis for MULN. Let's see how it performed on the day. So it ended up closing at $2.86, being down 0.35%. On the low, it tested $2.85, and then on the high, testing $3.12. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 90.266 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 175.632 million shares. So we have a big difference in regards to volume, and this does have an impact on the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is the daily chart, you can see from the RSI down below, it is at 58.23. And then when we take a look at our moving averages here on the chart, we are below the 200-day, the 100-day, but we are above the 50-day and as well as the 21-day EMA. So Mullen is continuing to show some strength. Where we tested on the low for 285 is definitely a great look. So if we can go into tomorrow and hold this level, we could see Mullen being able to see if it can get above 312 where it tested the high and potentially see a move going to around $3.40. But again, 285 needs to hold. We also have to have more volume coming into the play as well. If it decides to pull back, then of course I'd want to see it continue to consolidate above the 21-day EMA, which is around $2.42. The moment this level breaks, we already know we want to see support hold up right here at $2. If $2 cannot hold, then this is where I said we could potentially fill that gap to the downside, which is right around $1.79. So you want to add that to your homework. So if you want to see that strong bullish reversal, see that buying volume coming into the play, and wanting to see if Mullen can get above 340 so we can make that move going to $4. Now let's move on to the short interest information. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information from Mullen. As we scroll down further on the page, green rows indicate new positions while red rows indicate closed positions. So when we take a look at the recent filings, we don't see any, but we do have here for March the 29th, U.S. small cap portfolio institutional class that ended up reducing their position by 65.33%. Now, when we take a look at the short interest, the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 44.20%, and then for the off-exchange short volume, it is just over 30.23 million shares. Scrolling down further on the page, the short shares availability is at 100, updated 9 minutes ago, and then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 68.88. So that is definitely good to see right there. And then when we take a look at the short volume, you can see for the close of the 31st, it was at 41.83. And then for the close of the 1st, it's at 44.20. So what this shows us, Mullen does have short squeeze potential. Now let's move on to the order flow distribution. Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for Mullen. So we see on the inflow it's at 55.41, and then on the outflow it's at 51.89. So we had an inflow day. Keep in mind these numbers are in the millions. Taking a look at the breakdown, on the large it was 20.84, on the medium it was 28.68, and then on the small it was 5.89. Taking a look at the outflow side, you can see on the large it was 21.43, on the medium it was 24.85, and then on the small it was 5.61. Taking a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, you can see for the past 5 trading days they have all been outflow days, and as far as for today, we ended up having an outflow of 0.59 million. Analyzing the numbers even further for the small scale orders that tend to represent the retail side, we had more buying than we had selling. And then when we take a look at what happened on the medium, we had more buying than we had selling. And then when we take a look at the large, which represents whales, institutions, and funds, we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at the turnover ratio, it was at 260.47%. So we've seen it much higher from Mullen. What we know, there's a lot of traders going in and out of this play. And we also see that there's a tremendous amount of selling pressure. But we do see on the retail side, there is demand. So let's go on to the final thoughts, and we'll go over some more details as well. So for my final thoughts for Mullen, before we get started, let's go over the recent press release that came out. Mullen Automotive promotes John Taylor, former Tesla executive, to global manufacturing and strategic planning head as EV business expands. Company announces the promotion of John Taylor to the role of senior vice president of global manufacturing and strategic planning. So this is definitely some great news for Mullen, and it does show that they're taking steps in the right direction to make sure that they're taking care of things on the operational side. This is very crucial for their launch. So anyone who's a long-term investor, this is some exciting news that you want to hear. Now, as far as for the price action, I want to see support hold up at 285. But if it does decide to break through 285, I want to see it stay above the 21-day EMA, which is right around $2.42. If we do break this level, then there's a potential chance we can get down to $2. And we know there is a gap that needs to be filled to the downside, which is right around $1.79. So add that to your homework and as well as your due diligence. If you're looking for some strength, you're looking for a turnaround, you want to see some buying pressure, then the next level you want to see is $3.40. The moment we can get to $3.40 and there's continued buying, then we could see this stock getting back to $4. But again, one thing that is very clear though, the volume has been dying down for this stock and that needs to pick back up. Also, when we went on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership, we do see that there has been some interest on the institutional side. But one thing we have to be aware of in regards to the short interest, it does have short squeeze potential. And also seeing that the short ball fee rate is now at around 68%, that's why you want to keep this play on your radar. It is not seeing a lot of retail interest like before, but that doesn't mean that you should ignore it, because they end up putting out more press releases and having more catalysts, then this stock can move up quickly. But you also have to understand it is in a competitive space, and we know that as the EV space, we have Tesla, we have Lucid, we have Fisker, we have NIO. Again, we know this is a very young company. They have not shown any signs of profitability as of yet. So this stock is going to be volatile, and why you need to do your homework and do your due diligence, especially if you're choosing to be a long-term investor. If you're looking at swing trading it, then of course you want to play off those support and resistance areas and make sure whatever decision that you come up with, you're not being guided by the crowd. You're doing your homework, taking all of that information and figuring out the right strategy for you. And what that would look like is making sure you're getting in with a solid entry and you're knowing what your exit's going to be. Many people have been sending me messages saying, well, you know what, I'm not going to take a position until it fills a gap to the downside around $1.79. And you know what? That is perfectly fine. That is also a smart strategy. And we also do have some people in the crowd that want to say, well, you know what, I don't mind buying it when it's trading in the 280s or even in the 290s. Again, you got to figure out what works for you. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I will continue to keep you guys updated, and let's see how Mullen performs going into tomorrow. We'll talk soon.